I'll just get started. So, hi, I'm Jayshaun. I'm the secondary Wildlife Society liaison for the Fisheries and Wildlife Club. And I'm here to give a presentation about how to present a student research poster at conferences and why it's good for your professional development and why you guys should present at ORTWS or AFS, or in this specific year circumstance, the combination of Oregon SAF and ORTWS and SAF separately. The fish people have to be different, which is fair. All right, so first things first, I'm going to get into some terminology. So the conference is a multi-day event. That is the thing. That's the thing that you're going to. You're spending multiple days there to hear from different research, to hear different presentations, to hear different talks and activities to foster professional development in students and then seasoned professionals. Now, something you will see in your schedule at these conferences are symposia or concurrent sessions. So these are basically like 10 to 15-minute research talks that people attendees at these conferences will sign up to give. And the symposias are split among themes. So if I'm going from a wildlife basis, there's some that a symposium would be like movement ecology, reading ecology, and what's another one? Human dimensions. Hi guys, welcome in. We just started. So no worries, I'm just getting into some terminology here.
I gotta get going, good luck.
Thank you. But yeah, concurrent sessions are just usually talks often at the same time. So symposia are happening at the same time. So like the breeding ecology, human dimensions, and movement ecology are all happening at the same time, and you just pick which ones you want to go to, and they're separated by theme. Oh, Ellie's here, yay. Yep. Go ahead and admit her, thank you. And then the plenary or keynote speaker is usually this really long talk. It's usually in the mornings, and it centers around the theme of the overall conferences, because typically conferences have a sort of central theme about them, whether it be habitat connectivity or migration, or the conference I was just at like a couple of weeks ago, I think, was about their plenary speaker was about One Health and the avian influenza affecting raptors. And obviously a networking mixer is social hour. That is a section of time at the conference dedicated to networking, doing what I like to do best, talk a lot. And the poster session is what we're going to be talking about today. And it's a sort of pseudo social hour type thing where participants will go around and listen to different posters from students and professionals alike, to inquire about their research in a more formally informal way. And a workshop is often a training hosted by the conference participant, hosted by the conference administrators. And there's usually an additional fee for these workshops since they're trainings, and they're usually held either the day before or the day after the conference events have concluded. I know with ORTWS last year, the trainings were the last day of the conference. It was a half-day type of deal. And the business meeting is usually just for the board members of the professional society that is putting on this the conference, which happens usually the day before most attendees get there. Like at a conference that I was at, it was last week, I just can't remember. Everyone got there Tuesday. Everyone got there Tuesday evening when the conference started on Wednesday, but the board meeting was Tuesday morning because the board's supposed to get there a day in advance to make sure that things go smoothly. Whoops. There it is. Okay. There it is. Okay, so we want undergraduates to present at ORTWS or SAF, so Oregon SA, AFS, if those things apply to you. And again, this year specifically, the Society of American Foresters and the Oregon Wildlife Society's annual conferences are combined. So we want everyone to get the chance to present their research at this conference. Thank you. Oh, now some common myths about presenting posters are that you need to have done independent research from beginning to end, having everything worked out. You don't. You can just have preliminary results. You can just have predictions. You can just have an idea. If you have enough of an idea and you know enough about what your methods are, and if you have an idea of what you will find, you can present a poster. And that goes back to this next point. You need to have all your results in. You don't. The research poster I presented at the Spring Poster Symposium last year, I did not have any results yet. I had preliminary results, but nothing was really concrete. The other myth is that you need to be experienced. Like you need to be very experienced in your field in order to present a poster. That could not be further from the truth. Research posters are a thing for everyone, seasoned professionals and student professionals alike. And a common myth that I've heard is that they're only useful to students that want to go into grad school or thinking about research high level research positions. And that maybe that would certainly help those individuals a little bit more. But that's not saying that if that's not the career path you see for yourself, that means you shouldn't present a poster, because it does help you build a lot of confidence and just presentation skills. And because regardless of what you're going to do in your career, you're going to have to talk to people and you're going to need to have these good communication skills that you would foster by presenting a research poster. Now, oh wait, I kind of hit all of these things, but I'll go over them again. So you should present a poster because it can really influence and help you learn how to be professional and how to talk about your research in a professional way to professional individuals. Again, like science communication, you want to learn how to accurately communicate your work to other people. And again, no matter your career path, it provides excellent skills in these things. This is also a great network opportunity. These poster sessions are often turned into social hours, either in the middle of it or right at the end. And so this is an excellent way to get people interested. People have landed jobs and internships by presenting their posters and just having the right person listen to your talk. So it's, again, fabulous. I could not talk it up a little bit more. It also makes you eligible for some scholarships and awards and prizes that are often given away at the conference themselves. And again, it can help get you further engaged in the professional society so that you can know more people, build that network. Next. Now, how to apply it to present. So first you'd have to write an abstract. And what an abstract is basically like 3 paragraphs just about your research, why it's important, like why people should care about your research essentially. That's what an abstract is. It includes like a rough summary and then why it relates to things of that sort. It's just your project description, project overview. And the deadlines for this year are November 30th for ORTWS and Oregon SAF. And for Oregon AFS, the deadline is December 16th. So the fish people get a little bit more. Love the fish people for that. For larger conferences, abstracts are often due 6 months before. So if you are hoping to attend a larger conference, like maybe the national conferences for either of these organizations, you should have that in mind long before before the conference itself, so that you can make sure you get your deadline, things in on time. I know that I missed my opportunity to present at the Raptor Research Foundation conference. I missed the deadline by about 20 days. So don't be like me, stay on top of your deadlines. Next. Now, preparing your research. Next. So what is an actual research poster? I've been saying that a lot, like posters a lot, but what actually is it? So it's a key form of scientific communication in which you refine complex research into a 1-page visual piece to accompany your talk. And what that basically means, it's a visual summary of your research, meant to be easily scanned. Like that way, if someone reads your poster, they have a pretty good idea of what your research topic is. And it incorporates all the parts of a scientific paper. And this, I think, is a really good tip, especially as you're thinking about structuring your research poster. You want to hit all these marks in introductions, methods, results, discussion. And you want to incorporate, again, that visual piece that comes with a poster. So having your graphs, having your pictures, if you work with animals, showing off these animals. If you work a lot with data, show these graphs and kind of mix them up. Because you want both graphs and pictures of your studies of your study species or your study environment. And you will stand at your research poster during your research presentation to, give the talk. Because your poster should be able to mostly stand on its own, but the great thing about it is it's not on its own because you're right there. So that way people can ask you questions, you can sort of fill in the blanks, and you can have a small sort of, talk about what your poster is. And we're not going to do that. I forgot to remove that. We're not going to practice. But your conference may include poster judges and awards, like I had mentioned in the previous slide. Some conferences will have judges specifically to go judge student posters and assign a best student poster at the end of the conference based on certain criteria. Now, this is a very rough research template. So you've got your title at the very beginning, and you've got your introduction. You want to have photos, but in the introduction, you want to summarize what the project is, why it's important, what knowledge gap does it fill, and what your specific research question or hypothesis is, and then goals of the study, and implications of the research results. So if you have any predictions, what would those predictions mean for the overall scientific community, like species, habitat conservation management, things like that? Like, how would your study influence the greater wealth of knowledge in X specific interest? So, and then the optional thing is, how is this research important to you as a young career professional? Well, that's something you don't have to put in, but if someone might ask you, so you should always have that kind of ready to say. And photos, lots of photos. So for your methods, you should describe how you collected the data, how you analyzed it, and just kind of go in depth. They want to know why and how. Like, oh, I'm doing this. How did you do it? How did you collect the data? Ask these questions as you're designing your research poster. And you should talk about if you fully answered your research question, because that does not always have to be a yes, and it not always is. This is, if you were going to make like a land tribe acknowledgement, this would be where you did it. Say I conducted things on X land. You should, that would be a methods thing. And that would be where you highlight a land acknowledgement. And you'd have photos and figures. Like I know in a research poster I had done, my methods is where I had the grid of areas I had surveyed. And in your results, you should include charts, graphs, even if you don't have any results, even if they're just anticipated results, you should make, I think that this is going to, you should make graphs based off of your predictions, and then specify that they are predictions in the poster. And in the conclusion, so the conclusion is where you basically talk about what your results mean. That's where you're dissecting the results and you're trying to find meaning from all of the data. And again, like you discuss the implications that these results would have on certain management strategies for different things and different questions. And again, would be where you also touch on if you were able to fully answer the research question, since you've now come to the end of the research process. And if there's any further research done. And the answer is usually always yes. But that is the rough template of how things go. Next. Now, this timeline is an interesting timeline because I'm giving this talk when there's like 25 days before the Oregon SAF and Oregon TWS deadline is. And the template that you would use, there's a link to it. If you're interested in trying to get a link to it, contact me. That's Jayshaun, and I can send you the link directly, so you don't have to worry about finding that. But start writing. You can start writing your abstract. Again, it's like two to three paragraphs, just explaining methods, results, discussion, why your research is important and why people should care about it. Why should it pique someone's interest over something else? You're trying to sell it, essentially. Like you're trying to market a product. Have your supervisor or research PI look it over, give two rounds of edits, and then you print it at the OSU Media Hub. And they have a pretty good turnaround for 48 hours. So if you submit it today, after this, well, it's not past 6. Say you submit it now. You probably have it by the end of the week. Or like Thursday. And then you bring it to your conference. So yeah, Next. Now, making the talk I think is the most interesting part about the poster presentation process is figuring out how you're going to give the presentation. And the way I like to give the presentation, maybe I should follow the points that I wrote first. So poster presentations, you should dress business casual. In this specific industry, no one's gonna be showing up in a suit and tie. Hey, that's kind of overkill. But business casual, and we'll talk more about this later in the slides, but just dress professionally for your industry, whatever that may look like. And poster presentations usually take place in very large rooms, and there's often other people with other posters talking right next to you. So you want to know how to project your voice just a little bit. Kind of like how I'm doing right now, but that's because I was in theater. So I did that for a long time. And a typical research presentation lasts 5 to 7 minutes. I kind of lean to the longer end of 7 minutes. But you shouldn't time yourself, but you should want to make sure that you're not talking for 15 minutes. Because that's a little bit much. And a typical audience size is 1 to 5 people. I have had 10 people at my research poster before, and it is overwhelming. And you shouldn't prepare for that, but you should prepare and expect to have a sizable amount of people at your poster at one time. Especially if you can rope people in as they're walking by what you're saying and how engaged you are when you're speaking. And in this specific environment, it is very acceptable for the audience members, like the people listening to your talk, to cut you off, to ask a question, and you should be prepared for that. So you should not be caught off guard if someone interrupts you to ask a question. That is socially expected in this specific environment. And you being the presenter should use a poster's figures. I mean, that's the great thing about a poster. It's a visual. You can point to it. I mean, I'm doing that and it's just words. So please use the poster to its advantages. Point to your tables, point to your graphs, get animated about it because that's going to keep people engaged. And your talk should guide people through your research, almost kind of like a story. Everything should kind of blend together. Nothing should feel forced. Everything should feel very transitionally, kind of like a wave almost in some weird metaphorical sense. And that's the way I like to present things. Oh wait, are we over? Okay, well, that's cool. So conference prep series announcement. So starting in January, we SAF and Fisheries and Wildlife Club will be doing a 2-part conference prep series for students preparing to attend specifically the ORTWS and the OSAF meetings since they're combined this year. And we're gonna have 2 parts. It's gonna be, there's one about how to dress, how to carry yourself, and then another is about conference culture and how to actually have professional conversations. This is the point where I open the door to questions.
Can you attend if you're not presenting?
Yes. Yes, you can absolutely attend a conference if you're not presenting. I attended a conference that I wasn't presenting, and I've done that a couple times. Because it's, even if you're not presenting, it's a great way to network, it's a great way to meet people, it's a great way to learn about what you like and ask others about their work, because you might learn things about yourself and your interest at a conference that you weren't presenting at that you would not have known otherwise. I didn't know that I really liked small owls until I went to an owl conference. And I wasn't presenting. I was like, oh, I like owls. I think owl research is cool. And then I went and it changed the course of my academic or research journey. And now I'm doing my thesis on small owls. So you do not need to be presenting to go to a conference.
Definitely beneficial either way. And then you can also view other people who are presenting to learn about, what you might want to present about or how you might want to conduct yourself by looking at different people and their styles. Also, another thing to note is that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for your stay to be covered. I know that there's opportunities for that for forestry students as well from the fisheries and wildlife side if that's needed. So keep an eye out for that.
Yes, thank you for hitting that, Tatiana. Because the volunteer program that Fish and Wildlife, the Department of Fish and Wildlife does to get students to go to these conferences, and that's open to all colleges. You just sign up through the Fish and Wildlife Department. Is that you volunteer and then you get your room and board covered, and it's 6 hours
Even.
If even, it's not, it's so lackadaisical. I did like 4 hours.
And a lot of it is just sitting in on a presentation by a professional and like handling their slides or something like that. So you're really still engaged with the process.
Exactly, or what I did is when I was volunteering, I sold raffle tickets, and that is a great way to like interject yourself into a group of professionals. It's like, hey y'all, wanna buy some raffle tickets? And then they'll ask you about you. Like they'll ask questions about you because you're selling them raffle tickets. It's great. So there are tons of ways to get involved and stay engaged in conferences, even if you're not presenting. This specific presentation was just about if you were to present, how would you do it? But are there any questions? Because I'm done.
Can we go back a couple slides?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
This one?
Cool beans.
And we will have this recorded, so if you want to go back over it to listen to what has been said or for the templates or anything like that, we'll be emailing that out. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jayshaun, for
Cool.
presenting, and thank you all for attending.
Thank you for the thank you. It's nice. Cool. Oh wait.
I'm gonna present.
Oh, I asked.
My research.
Are you?
Yes, I'm going to. I took a picture of
Great.
the slide, the deadline.
I think we're good.